Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, my name is James and this is Career Insights. In this video, I'm going to follow on like my previous video and give you a quick tip on how to find work experience. If you missed that video, go back and watch it. But just to bring you up to speed on this video, essentially what I'm talking about is how to find someone outside of your network in an industry or in an exact job that you're looking for, and how to go about actually meeting that person and potentially building a relationship to get you work experience. So now I've brought you up to speed, let's jump into it. Some of you may or may not be aware of a website called Meetup. Now, as the name suggests, the whole purpose of this website is to create a platform for people to meet up. Now, the reasons for these meetups are absolutely vast. So it could be something like photography, it could be a fitness related, so a running club, but it's also got a whole business and career section. So ranging from anything again, so it could be like a tech meetup, it could be a startup meetup, you're just starting a new business, it could be construction related. There's just so many topics on there. So when you go on their website, what you'll see on the homepage is a ton of different categories, like things I just said in terms of photography, fitness, business. So you click on one of those categories and then what it'll do is it will show you a whole load of groups within a 25-mile radius that have been set up and how many active users they've got in. You can expand the radius as large as you like, but when you click on those groups, what you'll see is all the future meetups that those groups have. Now, just on Meetup itself, I did try and find a comprehensive list of all the countries available in, and I couldn't find that. But what I did find on Wikipedia was that it's available in over 180 countries, so chances are it is available in your country. I also had a quick look on SimilarWeb to see how many active users they've got per month, and I think that figure was north of 20 million. Now, you will see with the data next to me that has dropped through the pandemic, but obviously, most things have dropped in the pandemic and I expect that to bounce back. And just on that point, obviously people are probably shouting at the screen saying, James, you're suggesting meeting up during this time, we might be in lockdown, depends which country and obviously what's going on at the minute. But what you have to remember is that two things. One is obviously Meetup have overcome some of those issues with using platforms obviously like Skype and Zoom, like a lot of businesses have, but also things like pandemics. If you've been looking at a lot of the data historically, when things like this have happened, maybe not to this scale, it is just a matter of time, hopefully, before life starts to resume. And you're seeing a lot of countries, obviously around the world now, starting to get back to some sort of normality. So hopefully in not too distant future, things will resume. And I'm sure that Meetup's figures will bounce back, probably stronger than ever, just because the amount of people that are out of work and looking for work at the minute. So that's just to address that point. So going back to the point I said earlier, where we've been using this platform to successfully find people for interviews, one of the things I find really interesting about this is that Jodie actually went to about 4 or 5 different careers fairs last year and hasn't been able to convert any of the people that she met into actual interviews. Now, I think this is crazy, but there's actually really good reason behind this, and she saw a real trend which might help some of you in your expectations of going to careers fairs. Now, a few of those things is that one is that a lot of companies send their first year employees along to these events, so they might have actually only been doing the role for 3 to 6 months. So you're approaching the stand thinking, oh, I'd love to talk to someone with experience, but ultimately it's a first year employee, so you're not going to get too much out of the role other than maybe the job hunting process from them. Another interesting thing is that a lot of companies send their HR teams along. So obviously HR do the hiring process and the firing process and put together the contracts. But again, you might be wanting to talk to a professional to understand more about that career, but ultimately you hit the stand and when you start speaking to them, you realise that they're just part of the hiring process and don't know too much about what the role actually entails and what it's like on a day-to-day basis. And finally, the amazing thing is that tons of companies just hire staff to do these events. So they have actually no understanding of what the role entails. And that really amazed Jodie. She was really shocked at like how big a percentage of companies actually just hire staff for these types of events and don't actually send any of their professionals themselves. So I think this is a really interesting insight, because ultimately a lot of you might be thinking of using careers fairs as a way of getting work experience, and obviously our experience is that actually they're not the best. Now obviously we can't speak for every country, we can't speak for every careers fair. I just thought it was a very good insight to share with you that obviously we tried using that as a platform to meet people and it just wasn't as fruitful as what Meetup was. So obviously in contrast, Meetup is brilliant because people are going with the intention of wanting to have a chat, wanting to meet people, share stories and just be open. Another thing is that a lot of the time the Meetup groups themselves actually promote like smaller groups or smaller workshops So they'll put you into smaller teams of maybe 4, 5, 6 people, and obviously you can get a lot more one-on-one time and get to know each other better. So that's ultimately how Jodie was able to source a lot of our interviews, is those one-on-ones and actually sharing her experience and sharing what we're doing with Career Insights. So I think this setup is actually particularly good for people who haven't got a clue what job or what career they want to follow, or maybe someone that is stuck in a career that they absolutely hate and again don't know which direction they want to jump into. So going back to the point I made earlier, that they've got things like photography and fitness clubs, that maybe that might be a good place to start, where you don't have a fixation on one particular industry, but by going into those types of environments or those types of groups, you know that you're going to have a whole diverse bunch of people in front of you that you can chat to. Now, rounding off the video and going back to something I said in the last video, is that please don't put too much pressure on yourself on actually trying to go in there and getting work experience straight out the gate. Obviously, anytime you put yourself under that type of pressure, you're probably not going to be yourself, you'll probably be a bit rigid. If you are one of these people that likes to go and prepped, wholeheartedly do a Google, do a YouTube on some conversation starters, some questions that help break the ice to get you going. But just go in there. I've always had this motto of, you don't know whether someone has the potential to be a friend unless you say hello. So this is the whole premise of these videos, is just go and say hello to people, be open, be friendly, because you never know where these conversations are going to lead. As always, if you got some value from the video, please smash the thumbs up button. It massively helps us with the YouTube algorithm, and I'll see you guys in the next one.